That he muted me.
Yeah,
Is there anybody else with perms here, bro?
the unbiased owner of the server unmuted you.
Who's the nigga in question?
The unbiased owner. So can you answer
Okay,
the
so I
question?
affirm my position, and I'm asking you what's your position before I give justifications.
No, I'm asking you. That's irrelevant here. I'm asking you if you can justify this so we can move on.
Yeah, sure, I can't justify it. Sure,
You can or can't.
that's my position. I can. Sure, that's fine. I can.
You can. I'd like to see this justification presented.
Why would I provide a justification if you have not provided your position? Are you stupid?
Well, your position is in question right now, and you said you had justification, so I'd like to see it provided.
Wait, are we debating? Yes or no?
Is this a debate?
Are
Is
you
me
taking
asking
a?
you?
I'm taking the
Questioning your
affirmation. Are
stance a
you taking the
debate?
negation? I'm
Is it
taking the
only? Is it
affirmation.
only?
Are
Is
you
that the
taking the
only way we can
negation?
debate or something? If I take the negation and you take the affirmation?
Then what format do you want us to debate in?
No,
Please answer the
you
question.
made the claim. Okay, so the
Oh,
claim right
stop
now in
repeating
question.
yourself, you fucking
All right,
retard. I'm
all
asking.
right. You're gonna stop talking over me again. All right. So the claim is actual infinities do not exist, and I'm asking you, can you prove this? You said yes, and I'm asking you to present the proof. Now, if you cannot do that, that's fine. We can move on. Just say you can't do that.
Are you gonna keep muting me, bro?
Are you gonna answer the question? It's a yes or no.
I don't have to answer the question. Are you gonna answer my question?
You don't have to answer the question, or you can answer the question.
I don't have to answer your question.
So you don't have to demonstrate your argument in this
When I state
conversation.
my position, you have to state your
No, just
position,
answer the. Is it
and then
answer
we'll
the
get to
question? Is it
justifying.
the case? Is it the case that you don't have to
I'm
present
giving
any
you
argument?
I'm giving you lessons on how debate format
No,
works.
answer the question. Is it the case that you don't have to provide an argument as to why your claim is correct? Is that what you're saying?
That dude, stop
You
muting
want
me,
me to
bro.
repeat the question?
No, I don't need you. Don't repeat the question. Just stop muting me. What the
All right,
fuck?
just answer the question then, because you're not answering the
I don't have
question.
to answer your question. I already justify why I don't have to answer
Okay,
your
so
question.
no,
Stop
answer
repeating
this
yourself.
question, right? Because my question is not whether or not you have to answer my questions in terms of what you're obligated to do. I'm asking you in terms of debate and conversation, is it the case that you do not have to demonstrate why you're correct or what your claim is? You can answer the question.
My days. Oh my days. Do you not understand what I'm saying?
Now, the point is, I asked you to demonstrate something, and then you said, I
I
don't have to
can
answer that.
demonstrate it for sure, but I cannot
All right, so
proceed to
I'm
demonstrating it
asking you to
without
do it.
hearing your position.
You
I
don't
don't have
have
to
to.
do
You
it
need to
now,
hear
you
my
retard.
position.
Okay, let's
You need to hear
conclude.
my position to demonstrate
Yeah, let's
you being
conclude.
correct.
Let's
You
conclude.
need to demonstrate. Okay, wait.
You want
You
us to
need to
conclude?
demonstrate. I need to give you a position before you can demonstrate why you're correct.
What?
Okay, so
What are you
why does my
saying, my nigga?
position matter here? Like, how is this relevant for your
I already
proof?
explained beforehand. You want to conclude?
No,
Fucking
you didn't
retard.
explain. You didn't actually
Yeah, you
explain.
can think that. Wait, is this recorded? Somebody get the
I
record.
mean, this is recorded, and it's recorded that you made the claim that you don't have to demonstrate your argument.
Yo,
So
is
yeah,
this
we can move on. Is there anyone else that wants to debate in here? You guys can just unmute your mics if you want to debate. This guy's a troll. It's over for him.
Did bro just lose the toss-up in 5 minutes?
Do you want to debate?
On what?
I mean, what topics do you hold?
I'll do fiction. I'll do it Bleach.
You want to debate Ichigo versus Naruto, bro? Yeah, we're not doing that. You're muted. Yeah, so just for the recording to show, I asked him a simple question. Can he demonstrate his claim? And he continuously said no. If it wasn't no directly, it was no that he doesn't have to or he doesn't want to, right? So that's fine. So anyone else want to debate? Yeah, so theoretical. I don't actually have to affirm my position if I'm just simply asking you about your position, right? We could have easily moved on if you simply said, I can't justify it. And then I would have given you my position and we would have went over how my position can be justified. But you didn't actually want to do that because you're a troll. And that's why you're muted right now. So anyone else want to debate?
Bro, unmute Toxic and Infinity right now, bro. This is so dumb. Just debate these niggas.
Infinity's not even muted right now though.
Yes, he is. He's permanently muted. Nigga,
Which
look,
one is he?
just debate
Which
these
one is he?
niggas. There's no
Nigga, I got no
point.
perm.
It's 566 hollow tips.
Which
Look,
one?
listen.
Which one is he though? I don't know which one he is.
566.
That's Infinity and not the. All right, yeah, you can get unmuted. I didn't know it was you.
Let's debate theology.
You believe God exists?
Yeah.
So you realize theology is not like a deist position?
Theology is inclusive. Any deist position, yes, it can be a deist position.
No, I'm saying theist as in not deist.
Repeat yourself.
So I'm saying you realize theist encompasses more than just a deistic God, right?
That has nothing to do with what I just said. I said theology.
Yeah, debating theology is going to be debating the theist position.
It's not just a theist position. You can be a deist.
Okay, what else? What else in theology are we going to debate?
I just gave an example. Theology is the belief. Theology is just going to be correlated to a God. Deist is going to be correlated to God. So yeah, you can argue deism.
Okay, so let's just look this up real quick.
Yes, if you look it up, I'm always right. It's going to say it's correlated to a God or something along those lines.
Correlation. Okay, so the problem with what you're saying is that
let's read the study of nature of God and religious.
Yeah, I'll just screen share it, bro. I'll just screen share. It's all fine. The way, because he couldn't overtalk me here. It's all good, bro. Give me a.
So can y'all unmute Toxic? He don't deserve this.
Yeah, he'll be unmuted shortly. There's checks in order here, bro. There's checks and balances. All right, so look at my screen share real quick, guys. Yeah, so we're going to start with something real quick. Okay, so we look at theism. It's the belief in the existence of one deity. Are in contrast with deism, the term often describes the classical conception of God that is found in monotheism, are gods found in polytheistic religions. Right? There's a difference between theism and deism, right? Due to the fact that deism is going to generally reject revelation as a source of divine knowledge. So whenever someone says we're going to debate theology, they're usually going to mean something along the lines of that this God is revelatory. If they don't mean that, then we can just debate whether or not a deistic God exists. But by him saying he wants to take the theist position, it's often assumed that he's going to take the position that God is revelatory. So anyway, Toxic, you can be unmuted now and say what you have to say.
Oh my god, bro. Are you actually real, bro? Is this how you?
There's no time for your sophistry. 556 hollow tips. There's no need to stay on this point, the sophistry. If it is the case by theology, all you mean is a non-revelatory God, sure, we can say that. That's just not what most people mean, or what I mean by theology. So you can be unmuted now.
Yeah, stop perm abusing. I expected not to be cut off since you just went on a whole rant. I never said anything about debating theism. I said I'm going to debate theology. Theology isn't only inclusive of theism, so you just went on a whole ramble. Monotheism, theism, deism are all going to be inclusive of theology because theology is simply the study of a God or religious beliefs. Now, if you believe in a specific God that created the universe, that's going to be the study of a God, or that's going to be a God. If you believe in three gods, it's going to be study of religious beliefs or gods. Once again, it all follows that it's theology. So stop strawmanning what I said because I never said anything about theism. I said deism, my nigga.
Yeah, so clearly I already told you. I thought you said theism in the sense of a particular God. So can you define your God?
Yeah, I didn't say theism or theism. I'm saying I
Yeah,
said
we're moving
Stop
on
cutting me.
from this.
Stop
We're
cutting me
moving
off. I'm
on.
clarifying. Stop cutting me off.
Yeah, we're moving
Yeah,
on from this
I know.
point.
Maybe. Yeah, you
Define
can't.
your God.
I'm trying to clarify and define my
What's the
God. Idiot.
definition of your
I'm
God?
trying to stop cutting me off because I was muted.
All right, I'm waiting for the definition.
So one, I never said deism or theism. I said theology is inclusive of both, and then I also define my God as a necessary being who's eternal.
What other attributes does it have?
Just him being necessary and eternal, and it can be a contradiction, sure, if you want. I don't really care.
Did you just say it's a contradiction?
No, I said I can define him as being a necessary, eternal being who's contradictory, but I'm not going to. It can be necessary and eternal.
Okay, so necessary and eternal. What other attributes are there?
Just him being necessary and eternal.
So there's no consciousness there?
Nope, doesn't need to be, but there can be. Sure, yeah, there can be consciousness.
No, I'm asking not what there can be. I'm asking you what there
Yeah,
is.
yeah, there's gonna be consciousness. Sure, that's fine.
So it's a conscious entity.
Yeah,
What
sure.
other
Conscious,
attributes does it
necessary,
have?
eternal. It's gonna be a consciousness. Or it's gonna be a conscious, eternal, necessary being.
Is this thing physical?
It can be.
No, I'm asking you. Why do you keep saying
Sure.
can? I'm asking you what it is.
Because I don't care. You can ascribe most properties to the God. Sure, it can be physical. Yeah, that's
No,
fine.
this is no. Why are you saying this as if like?
Yeah, that's fine. He's physical.
Why are you
that's
acting
fine.
as if this is like a god you're making up as you go along?
Because it is. He can be physical. I have an argument.
All right, I'm not debating you.
A nice duck. I'm going to give an argument.
I'm not debating you on positions you don't actually hold. All right. This guy just said he's going to make up a god to debate me. Why would I ever waste my time with such things? I'm here, right, not to debate what you're making up in your head, bro. I'm here to debate what you claim to actually exist. Okay, so does anyone else want to actually debate what they believe actually exists? Yeah, so the spamming of the chat will not be tolerated due to the fact that that's against the rules of the server. So you guys are just going to be muted for a little bit.
That's it.
All right, so does anyone else want to actually debate things that they actually hold and not things that they're just making up as they go along? So Toxic, I hear that you're an agnostic. You can be unmuted now.
Oh, you stupid as shit.
Wait, Toxic, how old are you though?
Doesn't matter, bitch.
I don't know why you're so hostile, bro. I'm very calm.
That doesn't matter, bitch.
Why are you so mad, bro? Is it because I beat you in a debate?
Cause you're stupid, bitch.
Are you Asian? Like, what are
You know
you?
that? Doesn't matter.
You sound Asian. I was just curious.
So can I ask you a question?
Yeah, what's your question?
So do you think it's a proper way to go about a debate format for me to establish a position when you don't establish a position, and after doing that, I justify my position when I don't know what your position is? Is that a proper debate format to you, fucking retard?
Okay, so you're not gonna
Yes or
sit
no?
there. You're not gonna sit there and soy out.
I am. I am.
You're gonna have to be more relaxed and calm and collected than what you're, acting like. You're acting like a 12-year-old boy debating Ichigo versus Naruto, right? We're not doing that here, right? So you can be unmuted now. So anyway, yeah,
Answer the
right.
question.
We already established the topic. Now I was investigating your views on whether or not you think your views can actually be justified, and then I was asking
I already
you
said
for
I
this
can justify it.
justification, and then I was asking you
You know,
for
I don't
this
have to give it now. I
justification.
don't have to give it now. I'm waiting for your position to be established.
So why don't you have to give? Why in a debate do you think
I
you
already
don't have
just
to give
Are you
justification?
not tracking? I already explained why I have to. Bro, are you stupid?
You don't
Hello?
need. No, it doesn't follow that you need to know my position before justifying yours.
I said it's not a proper debate format if you have to go by that,
Okay.
bitch.
Okay, define proper debate format. Where is this found?
Okay, one establishes a position, and the opponent they establish their position, and then we go about justifying things. Duh.
Why would I need to establish a position in order to question yours?
How am I going to go about knowing what your position is if, right, the position is not established to begin with?
Okay, so for example, let us take this, Ryan. Let's say you're on the street
Let us
dating
take this.
someone. Someone
Mhm.
walks up to you, and you are holding up a sign that says Christ is God. Now they come up to you and they ask you to
Cool.
prove this, right? Now, you don't actually need to know what they are in order to prove that to them if you have proof, correct?
Hello. You understand there's a distinction between those two? If I
Yes.
walk up to a person, yeah, if I walk up to a person and they say Christ exists, and you ask them to prove that, that's not a debate.
Okay,
You're
so
asking the person to justify the
me
specific
interacting with your
argument.
proof. Wait, me interacting with your proof is not like debating.
What? You
Okay,
interacting
so
with
do
my
you think all
truth?
debates have to be in some formal manner or something? Is that like what are you talking about?
Yeah, I do for sure.
You don't think people can debate informally?
Okay, give me an example, a practical example of what a informal debate would be.
Yeah, so it would look like what I said on the street, right? Where someone comes up, they start engaging with each other, right? They start
I
talking
already
about the
said it's not a
position.
debate.
Yeah, because you under your are you trolling? You said under your understanding that all debates are formal, and I'm giving you an example of something that would be considered an
I
informal
never
debate.
said that.
You'd never said that all debates are formal.
Yep, I never said that.
Okay, so there can be informal debates.
I said debates ought to be formal. Not all
Okay, no one
debates are
cares. No one
formal.
cares about auth. We were talking about all
Okay,
in this
so
instance.
now you not okay. So now you're
Okay,
not
so
tracking. That's
we don't
fine.
actually disagree. You're just being a sophist. We can move on.
You're just being a retard. Let's move
No,
on.
you're just being a sophist. I quite clearly said not all debates are formal, and then I asked you, do you think all debates are formal? And you said yes. Like this is for the recording. Everyone heard this. So anyway, we're moving on, buddy. You've taken up too much troll time. CJ, if you unmute your mic and start packing, then there will be consequences.
I'm not going to unmute. I just want to say you should unmute Infinity. He's going to put it on his mom that he's actually going to debate for a topic that he believes. So just debate Infinity. He will
All
actually
right. See,
debate a
this is the
topic.
problem. This is the problem with Infinity. This guy's a professional sophist, bro. This guy will take up any position just to argue, right? So
He will put it on his
we're going
mom.
to
Though. You
have to
really think
see
he'll
whether or
lie on
not
his
this guy
mom?
actually believes in these positions, right? So anyway, we could unmute you now. 556 hollow tips. Uh, let's see what positions you actually hold.
556. We gonna shoot at his wrist. Call me focused. Look that nigga. He don't know it. Anyways, so my argument is gonna be that if it's possibly necessary, then it's gonna be necessary that God exists. Therefore, it's necessarily the case that God exists. There you go.
So you're using S5 modal logic.
I'm using what I just told you. I'm using modal logic, obviously.
All right, it's S5. You know that, right?
Yes, that's 5 axiom.
All right, yeah. I'm not taking you serious, bro. This guy, I've heard this guy himself argue against S5 modal logic. This guy himself is just trolling at this point. Now we're gonna move back to toxic. The reason, by the way, wait before we move on, the reason why I muted Infinity is because the position he gave and the argument he just gave, I already know he disagrees with this. I'm not gonna debate this guy on something he doesn't even agree with himself, just for the sake of debating. I'm here to change the minds of the youth, or have my mind changed by the youth. So anyway, theoretical toxic, say what you have to say.
Okay, can I ask you something? Since you're here to change the minds of the youth, do you think this is like a productive way of going about it? Like muting people?
I
Like
actually
this
think
sort
it
of
is, yeah,
dictatorship? Why? Why do you think that?
because of the fact of the matter is that
I'm
if you're
genuinely
rambling,
confused.
if we're talking about the existence of something, you start talking about Taco Bell, then yeah, you're gonna get muted, bro.
Am I talking about Taco Bell? Did I talk about Taco Bell?
It's
Hello? Who
analogous
talked
because
about
of you
Taco Bell?
just it's analogous because you just
How is
keep
it
bringing up
analogous here?
you keep yeah I'm explaining why because you keep bringing up
Cool, go
dog
ahead.
shit nonsense that has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
Then why didn't you explain why it's dog shit to begin with? You didn't have to mute me.
Because I'm the arbiter of dog shit nonsense. I don't need to explain myself to you. So
So you're just
theoretical
ignorant,
toxic.
basically.
What positions do you hold?
I already gave you my position. What positions do you hold?
No, I'm asking you besides this because seemingly you're unable to like demonstrate this, or you're unwilling to
I am.
demonstrate this.
I mean, I'm not gonna debate you if you're gonna keep muting me. Like, there's no reason to
Yeah,
do that. You already lost to me anyway.
we can stop with the mutes as long as you give the position you actually hold and you actually think you can
Yeah, we can
demonstrate.
debate the same topic. Actually,
Yeah, if
infinity's
we debate
existing.
the same topic, you realize you're going to have to demonstrate. And I'm pretty sure the fact of the matter is that you don't actually believe in what you made the claim that you do believe in. I think because
No, I do.
earlier I remember. Okay, so there's no evidence contrary to you not actually holding this position.
Oh, you want to know what my position is in regards to this entire topic?
What's your position?
Is that actual infinities don't exist. The only thing that exists is a potential sequence of actual infinities. There's a
Okay,
distinction
a
between the two.
potential existence
Yeah,
of actual infinity.
are you
So, are you
confused or
making the
something?
claim? Okay,
Hmm.
so give an example Do you believe anything is infinite right now? Do you think anything in the world right now, anything conceptually is
By
infinite?
vector calculus, every dimension is infinite, or at least has properties of infinity
Is
and
there anything else?
accessibility. That's one example. Why should I give two?
No, I'm just
What?
asking for further examples. Is there anything else?
No, I'll just give one. It's fine. We just go by this.
Even the argument,
Yeah. So
I believe in argument.
did this
On
guy
that,
just come? Did this guy just rejoin the server to get
on
unmuted, bro?
everything I love, I believe in
You're not
argument. We can
slick,
actually
bro.
debate
You're
it.
not slick.
Anyways, on everything I love, I
You
believe in
don't
argument.
believe in that argument.
Yes, I do. Okay, I can show you. I can show
All right.
you me saying I believe
All
in
right.
argument.
Let's look up on. I swear. Let's just look at my screen.
Sure. I can show you a screenshot where I said I believe in arguments.
Look at my screen.
When have I ever debated theology? One recording.
Look at my screen.
I'm looking.
We're going to find it.
This nigga watches all my debates, y'all. He's such a fan.
Are you
Are we gonna
dumb?
get back to our
Where have
debate
I
then?
watched all your debates?
Yeah, can you show me? Can you show me where I said I
We're
believe?
doing
I don't
something
believe in
specific here because this guy.
Yeah, go ahead. Tell me where I don't believe in argument. You're not gonna find
I'm
a
looking.
theology.
I'm looking for the debate where.
Beetlejuice, what's up, bro? Is Beetlejuice still here? Oh, he left. So some
Yeah, you're
gibberish.
not gonna find a recording where I said I disagree with the modal ontological argument, buddy.
Okay, you clearly
You
don't
were
agree with it
asking me
because
a question about
you're
that.
not a theist.
You were not
You
Wait,
already made the claim.
whoa.
You
I
already
am
made
a
the
theist.
claim. You already
I
made
am a
the.
theist.
You already made the claim that you're agnostic.
No,
You
I
already made
said
the
that in
claim.
the I said that in the Islam server. I converted since then. Are you dumb?
Oh, you convert. Oh, you convert. What religion have
He's
you
been
converted
learning
to?
Yeah, I don't
Islam.
need to.
Yes,
I don't need to
he is
convert to
deep.
a specific religion.
Okay, this guy's retarded. All right, theoretical. What were you saying?
Oh, I'm saying that he was trying to convert to Islam. So yes,
This guy just
he also
said.
said God. By the way, he
I
also
just
said
asked him
God
what religion he
exists.
converted to, and he was unable to answer because I know he's just bullshitting.
I'm not sure if he actually ended up converting to
This
Islam,
guy's
but
not
not too
Muslim.
long
Everyone
ago he
knows
did
this.
say. Yeah, but not too long ago he did say God exists.
Okay,
He did this.
he said God is trying to get someone to debate him because of the fact that he thinks that this person wouldn't be able to refute the argument he's presented. I understand what he's doing. He doesn't actually believe in the argument. He just thinks that I wouldn't be able to refute it, so he's giving it so he could try to win some Discord debate. So anyway,
Yeah, I don't know about
do
that,
you
but sure, we
believe?
can go back to it.
I mean, you don't have
Yeah.
to believe in that. So do you believe in any other infinities?
What do you mean any other infinities? The only
Is there anything
mathematical
besides what you
infinities
said?
that exist? No, no. The others are too abstract. I don't think they pertain to the external world. Hello? Are you there, bro?
Yo,
Is he
I
down?
said it. Wait. Show him a screenshot where I said I believe in God in a private server where there's nobody
He
debates
said
there.
he's talking about the argument now.
All right, I'm back.
Yeah.
It's fine. So listen, right? So you don't actually believe. Okay, I think you have a misunderstanding of actual infinities. Then, what do you think an actual infinity is?
A collection of every set in an element that's infinite.
What did you just say? The collection of every set.
Okay, let me just rephrase. Like, say set A, right? An actual infinity will be something that contains infinite elements in itself, and the collection in question is going to be like completed. Yeah,
Okay,
the collection is going to be completed.
Let's just do this really quickly. I'm just asking questions. So
But I'm talking about that. Give me a minute.
yeah, what a coincidence that happens as I start getting the tough.
Yeah,
questions.
sorry.
Yeah,
You
it's all
can
good, bro.
what?
It's
Okay,
a
bro.
coincidence, bro. Just talk to your dad real quick. Yeah, so Infinity, what were you saying?
I said I can get a screenshot where I said I believe in God in a private server where nobody debates.
Okay, so the fact of the matter is, you said this when?
Yo. Yeah, I think I said it like 3 days ago, 2 days ago.
Okay, so you now believe in God.
I just said that 5 times in a row. Like keep asking
Do you
questions.
not realize how I know you're lying right now?
No, I don't realize it. I don't have real eyes.
So I know you don't have real eyes because real eyes.
Yes, and I realize.
And you don't have real eyes.
Yeah.
So that's fine. So listen.
Okay, anyway, so go ahead.
You are making the claim, right, that you believe in God now. But upon my examination of what your God was defined as, you constantly were like, oh, it can be this way, it can be this, it can be this.
Wait, can I clarify something?
All right, you can clarify.
Yes, I believe in a God. I'm saying that I believe in all these properties due to the modal ontological argument because I believe in the modal ontological argument specifically. Every property that you listed is something that can apply to the God that is used or that the modal ontological argument is used to justify. So I believe in a God. All these properties that he has can apply to him with or by virtue of the arguments.
So God doesn't actually have to be conscious.
Yeah, he doesn't have to be conscious. Since I just believe in a God, a necessary. What something that he has to be is him being necessary. That's something he has to be.
Yeah,
But him being
then
conscious and everything doesn't matter.
why are you calling this thing God when you only know one attribute of it?
It's not that I don't only know. It's not that I know one attribute of it. I can know multiple attributes of it. I'm saying I only ascribe one attribute to him that is necessary. He can have other attributes. It's fine. I
Yeah,
call him God because I believe that's
can
God.
versus okay, so can versus what actually is the case.
Yeah, I'm saying it is.
The reason why you're saying can is because obviously it can be this way. There's no logical
Uh-huh.
contradiction with this. I'm asking you what actually is the case,
Yeah, I got
and
you.
you don't actually know. You don't know
Yeah, I
any
do know.
properties of this God besides that he's necessary.
No, I do know. Once again, I do know that he can be consciousness, and if it translates to can, that means it's necessarily the case that he's consciousness by virtue of it being
So
possibly.
one of his attributes is necessarily
Yeah,
conscious.
there can be two gods, one being a necessary being, and then another being who is necessarily in consciousness. Those goes to be two gods. And I'm describing that label to God because I don't believe a human can do that. Or it doesn't matter. I'm just describing the necessary being as God. That's just my definition of God.
Yeah, so let's just take this into a hypothetical realm in
I go ahead.
which whatever is the necessary being. What do you mean by necessary for our universe?
Necessary means okay. Are you asking me what modal scope I mean by when I say necessary?
Sure, you could ask that.
Yeah, sure. When I mean necessary, I'm referring to a logical modal scope. It is logically the case that they exist in all possible worlds. They exist in all logical possible worlds, all epistemic possible worlds, and all nomological possible worlds.
So you're saying logic,
Or not,
God
I
is
mean, not
logically
all nomological. Not
necessary.
all nomological, my bad. Go ahead.
You're saying God is logically necessary.
He's logically necessary and he's epistemically necessary.
Systemically necessary. So do you realize? I think if you actually believe in this, what you mean to say is that he's metaphysically necessary, not that he's logically
I
necessary.
use those terms synonymously. It being metaphysically possible and logically possible, I use those synonymously. So what do you mean by metaphysical what do you mean by metaphysical modal scope?
Yeah, so by metaphysical motoscope, all things that are logically necessary are going to be within this. But there's also going to be some things within this that are necessary that aren't logically necessary, right? So, for example, the existence of God being necessary, you say this is logically necessary, right? Now, there's not going to be any actual contradiction with me saying God doesn't exist, right? There's no contradiction in the sentence, right?
I'm back.
So,
Repeat yourself. My bad.
yeah, so by metaphysically necessary, all you're saying is that it is the case that this is not logically contradictory, but
Yeah.
in the case of ontology, right, in the case of epistemology, this thing is required.
What do you mean by metaphysical impossibility or metaphysical modal scope, though? That was the question at hand. You just dodged the question. I'm asking you what do you specifically mean, not what do I mean. I told you what I mean.
I'm giving you an example of what would be meant by metaphysical.
Wait, can you just give me a definition?
It's easier if you understood the example.
Yeah, but you can give an example after you lead on to the definition, because if your example is going to be inclusive of a logical possible, then it's going to be, once again, under the logical modal
Now,
scope.
the point is that there's something that is not logically necessary that could be included in your metaphysical necessaries.
Wait, you're saying included in my metaphysical necessaries, even though my worldview is that
you can include it in anyone's. It's anyone's.
Wait, no, I know, but you said mine specifically, which I'm saying the statement is meaningless because they mean the same thing in my worldview.
Okay, so there's difference between a logical contradiction. Okay, so do you think it is a logical contradiction that God doesn't exist?
Repeat yourself.
Is there any P and not P by the statement God does not exist?
I believe that the modal ontological argument entails a contradiction.
The modal ontological argument entails a contradiction within that statement.
Yeah, so I do believe there's a contradiction.
Let me answer the question. Contradiction.
Wait,
logical contradiction.
I do. Wait, Pacho. I do believe there's a contradiction in God not existing because I believe that definitionally he would have to exist, and I believe logically he would have to exist if you believe in modal logic, which I can give an argument for. So it's going to be contradictory under a specific system.
Yeah, that system not being okay. So logically contradictory simply means, right, that if you ascribe to the laws of logic, that the statement in question is contradictory. Not that if we ascribe to
my grandma came in. Repeat yourself.
Yeah, so logically contradictory simply means if you hold the laws of logic to be true, it's going to be contradictory. Not if you hold the laws of logic to be true and another truth that isn't
Yeah,
entailed by the
that's
laws
not
of
what I
logic.
said, brother. Oh my god.
No, no, no.
I said
Okay, so
I said hold on,
let's
wait,
just
wait,
do
chill,
this.
bro,
Let's
bro.
just do
I'll
this.
let you finish, bro. Calm down. I said it can
Let's
be
just do this.
contradictory
Let's
under two. Hold
examine.
on,
Let's
bro.
examine.
Calm down, bro. Chill, 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 chill. So if you have a logical modal scope, it's referring to what exists. Logic is the language we use to describe what exists. So if you have classical logic, it is not the case you can have P and not P or not P. So if you have a system in reality, for example, that ducks exist, that's going to be systematically ducks existing. Now, it is not the case that not P can exist as well as in ducks do not exist. Therefore, logic is going to be governing a system. The same as if you have modal logic, which I believe exists, then if there's a contradiction, which is not modal logic, if they exist at the same time, that entails it's going to be a logical contradiction. So because logic governs all of these axioms, it governs all of these systems.
Yeah. So, do you actually believe in this?
Yes, I believe in this, and I can give rationale
All
for
right.
everything so
So,
far.
I think what you're doing here is uh, fallacious in the sense that it is a fallacy.
Well, I don't mean to cut
Right?
you off, but specifically what? Because I brought up multiple arguments and
Total.
explanation.
The argument that God is logically necessary is going to be fallacious, right?
But I
Because
didn't give an argument yet.
the
In the
way you
claim.
gave the argument, well, you said because of the modal ontological argument.
No, that's just a claim. That's a claim, not an argument.
Okay, so
I didn't lay out the
where's the
argument yet.
contradiction in the statement? I'm at like purely logical contradiction, right?
Uh-huh.
Where's P and not P in the
Wait. Oh my
statement?
God. You're
God
saying
is not necessary.
the question is really retarded because you're asking me a purely logical contradiction. You understand that logical contradictions or what's determined logically is off of what exists in reality. So obviously if we have modal logic and that exists objectively within reality, if there's a not P which is not modal logic existing simultaneously, that will entail a logical contradiction. So you cannot
The
ask me a
logical
question.
contradiction
Hold on,
doesn't
hold on, hold on,
necessarily
hold on, hold on,
entail
hold on,
that,
hold
by
on,
the
hold on,
way.
hold on. So you cannot chill. You can give your argument after. So you cannot ask me purely the logical contradiction if the purely the logical contradiction is going to be determined off of what's in reality.
Okay, so you understand that that's not necessarily the case, right? You can
Is
have
that a
something.
question?
You could have something that's logically impossible, or something that is logically possible that isn't actually able to be done in reality, due to what you already said earlier, which is non-logical possibility.
No,
So
I
I
agree with
don't know
that.
why you're
That
conflating
isn't
the
the
two.
argument. That isn't the argument. The argument is that we determine what's logically impossible off of what exists in reality or what cannot exist in reality. So, for example, if you have a duck, it is not the case that that duck cannot exist because the duck does exist. The statement that the duck exists is only true or false. The statement is true because the duck does exist and it has correspondence with reality. Now, how do we determine whether or not that's logically impossible for the duck not to exist? If the duck exists in reality.
Okay, so are you claiming that logical possibility is based upon nomological possibility?
That's not what I said. There can be different
You
modal
just
schools. All I'm
said what
saying,
is
we
in the
stop cutting me
world
off. Let me
is
clarify
what.
my answer.
Okay.
All I'm saying is that I'm saying there's different modal scopes. However, we determine what's logically impossible off of what exists within reality. For example, if you exist, it is not the case that you cannot exist because the statement you exist is true.
Okay. So you gave the analogy with the duck, which is going to
Mm-hmm.
be non-logically the case that it exists, but not logically necessitate that it exists, right? So,
That
for
wasn't the argument.
example, okay, so you didn't use the analogy of the. Well, I didn't say it was the argument. I said it was an analogy that you gave, where the duck
No, yeah,
exists
analogies
in
are
the world,
arguments.
therefore saying
Wait,
logically.
okay, this is the last time I'm cutting you off, and I'll let you finish. I promise. But let's just establish this. Analogical arguments exist in for formal logic, so don't conflate that. I don't understand why low tiers do that a lot. But go ahead, give your argument.
Analogical arguments.
Yes, exists in formal logic. Yes,
Okay, no one said they didn't, right?
you just said an analogy
The
isn't an
point
argument.
is, no, I said the analogy you gave wasn't the argument that you gave.
Wait, it was an argument though. You said it wasn't an argument.
I'm pretty sure I said it wasn't the argument.
It was fine. It's fine. Just continue.
Yeah, I might have said it wasn't a argument, but I meant that in the sense that it wasn't the argument you were giving because you weren't just giving the analogy on its own, right?
Yep,
So
it's fine. Go
anyway, so anyway, what we have to do first of all, to understand this, is we need more attributes to your
ahead.
God to actually start questioning whether or not this thing that you are calling God exists. Because if all you're saying is God is a necessary being, right,
Hmm.
then that being could just be the. Do you believe in the singularity in terms of cosmology?
I don't believe it matters. If I believe if I did believe in it, if you're just trying to ascribe a necessary property to it, then I could just label it as God. My definition of God is a necessary being. He necessarily has to be necessary. So that's all I
Yeah,
need
so
from.
then that's the problem that I'm having, right? It's because since there's actually no um there's no attributes to your God that we can actually question besides necessity, right?
Wait,
So
so
if
do
I
you
make the
agree that he's
claim,
necessary? Or do
I
you agree that a
mean,
necessary thing exists?
I agree that there's at least one thing that necessarily
Okay, that's
exists.
fine. I can give another property. He can have consciousness. Are you fine with that?
So you believe he has consciousness, or you're just saying he can have
I believe
consciousness?
that
Because that
I'm gonna say this once again. I believe in the modal ontological argument. So anything it justifies, I believe. So if the argument can justify he has consciousness, which it can, then I'll say that he has consciousness.
it would mean that he necessarily has consciousness because
Yep, that's
all
fine.
of God's attributes are going to be. So it would be the case that if he doesn't have consciousness, okay, do you not understand like what's going on? It would be the case that if he doesn't have consciousness, that's going to entail a contradiction.
Obviously, I believe that it
Okay,
necessarily
so
has
what
consciousness.
would the argument for this be? That
It is possibly necessary that he has consciousness due to there not being a logical contradiction. Therefore, it's necessarily the case that he has consciousness.
can you type the syllogism in the chat? I just want everyone to see this.
Okay, do you want me to tell you the difference?
The rule of inference. No, I'm just asking to type the syllogism out.
I literally cannot type. I'm cleaning something right now.
All right, so we can just everyone else can type it out. I'm sure there's one person that would type this out. Just get this syllogism.
Toxic wants to be unmuted.
Talk wants
Yeah,
to be
so the
unmuted.
argument is going to be, it's going to be modus ponens. If it is possibly necessary.
Okay, sure.
My bad, my girl come in. If it is possibly necessary for God to exist, then it's necessarily the case that God exists. It is possibly necessary, therefore, it is necessarily the case that God exists. Now you can just add the property of consciousness
Okay.
in there. You can add that predicate.
So this is based upon S5 modal logic.
Yep.
I think
And the modal
the
scope I'm talking about
problem.
is epistemic modal scope and logical modal scope.
Okay, so do you think it is possibly necessary that God isn't consciousness or isn't conscious?
Yep. That's why I said he can have a contradiction. Yep.
So it is the case that God can be contradictory.
Yep. That's why I said multiple times over.
Him can being contradictory is not the same as him actually being contradictory.
Yeah, it would be, because if it's possibly necessary that this God has a consciousness, and it's possibly not necessary, or it's possibly necessary that this God doesn't have a consciousness, that would entail a contradiction, which I'm saying can exist, buddy.
Well, this wouldn't, in your worldview, this wouldn't actually be a can thing. This would actually be necessarily that there's a contradiction here. So when you say,
No, I'm saying it can be necessary. I'm saying the
no, by
possibility
you
that it's
saying
necessary is
using
there.
S5 modal logic, when you say something can be logically necessary, you are saying that it is logically
No,
necessary.
yeah, I know. That's what I just said. That I'm saying it
Exactly.
is possibly. Wait, you're not understanding. I was using the possibility at first. I was presenting the argument in modus ponens. If it is possibly necessary, then it is necessarily the case that this God exists. It is possibly necessary. Then, therefore, does God necessarily exist? I was simply putting the possibility there so it can be a valid rule of inference. I can properly word it, since a lot of you low tiers
Yeah,
keep
so
on
these
plugging the terms.
statements exactly in itself is that if it is possibly necessary, then it is necessarily the case.
Yes, meaning it's
So this is
possibly necessary. Meaning it
yeah,
can be necessary.
I know
Yeah.
S5 modal logic. So
Are you
it is
sure,
the
bro?
case. I mean, I don't know why you're questioning me on whether I know this.
Go ahead, continue, bro.
Yeah. So anyway, so you're telling me right now that true contradictions exist.
Yep. I can
So
believe in logical pro. I can
whenever
believe
you
in
say
logic. Wait.
logic, what do you
Let me
mean?
clarify. Let me clarify my logical system that I ascribe to. Me personally, I was going under your worldview before, but my personal logical system will be dialetheism. I'm a dialetheist, so or I can argue logical prosism. So, fine with that.
Okay. So you're a dialetheist.
Or I can
So
argue logical pluralism.
yeah. So this actually draws in a lot of questions. Are you
Yeah,
saying
go
to me?
ahead.
Are you making the claim that all propositions can be true and false, or is there only some propositions that can be true and false?
All dialetheism asserts is, or all dialetheism is a radical view towards classical logic. It's going to be asserting that true contradictions can exist. It's not the case that all contradictions can, or it's not the case that all statements have to be contradictory. All it's saying is that we can accept true contradictions existing.
Yeah, so like some dialetheists would say that like it's possible that all
That's
statements.
fine. That's fine.
Yeah,
As long
so
as
I was just clarifying like the dialetheism is not necessarily what you're saying it is. It's one of the aspect of.
well, I don't know what you
So
just said, but that's what that dialetheism is necessarily. You have a central property, which is a true contradiction exists in reality. That would entail by conditionally that dialetheism exists. If a dialetheism exists if and only if a true contradiction exists.
no, I'm just saying that dialetheism you can also hold that there are some things that are contradictory versus the view that all things can be contradictory.
Wait,
Right?
yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I was just making the distinction there, right? So, do you believe in the law of identity?
No. I don't see an argument for it. I believe that the law of identity applies to everything I have epistemic access to. However, I don't think there's any valid argument you can make for it being universal, which is what classical logic does. They make the statement that it's universal.
So, do you believe in the law of excluded middle being universal?
It's the same answer, bro.
Okay, so the laws of logic are not universal truths. So, how do you know they actually apply to your God?
That's the point. I'm saying my God can be contradictory by virtue of the modal ontological argument. So under
So,
your
God.
epistemic, hold on, let me finish. Under your epistemic axis, the law of identity can be universal in that specific domain of discourse. However, under my epistemic axis, due to the modal ontological argument, this would not follow.
So, God can be God and not God at the same time.
You said that.
Okay, so like,
That's epistemically
how do you
possible.
know? Okay, so whenever you say, why are you saying God instead of not God then?
Oh, I'm saying God because I'm just using simple terms for you so you can understand. It can be not God and God. I don't mind. I'm just
So
saying P.
not God could also
It can be
exist.
P and not P. I'm just saying P for your understanding because I understand you have a difficult time with tracking.
No, the problem with what you're saying is that like what you're telling us right now could also just be like not what you're telling us right now.
Yeah, it can be, sure. I
No,
don't
but
think it is.
it's not even
But wait,
that
wait.
it
I'm
can
gonna
be. You're
answer. I'm
saying
gonna
it
answer.
is the
Wait,
case.
chill. That's not what I'm saying at all. I said dilithium is going to be the radical view that asserts some true contradictions can exist. You're saying that there's two categories, that being that all statements can contradict or all statements can possibly be contradictory. I'm saying that's not the one I ascribe to. All I'm saying is that there can be true contradictions within reality. I don't need to say that every statement is a contradiction for me to deny classical logic at all. I can say even if
No,
there's
I
one
didn't say
statement.
every
Hold on, let me
statement.
finish. I'm clarifying. I could say if there's one statement that's contradictory, that would be a denial towards classical logic. So if in this instance you believe that it's the case that I'm talking to you, which is P, and it's the case that I'm not talking to you, which is not P, you can believe that. However, intuitively, I don't think that is the case. I don't have mental attitude towards that.
No, I know. I already know that you don't believe that all propositions are true and false. The
Wait, can you
point
answer the
is,
question?
what's your question exactly?
Do you think that it is the case that I am talking to you and not talking to you?
I think you're talking to me.
Okay, there we go. Continue.
Yeah. So there's examples that you can give in which the contrary is not possible. But the
The contrary is
problem,
what? Of what? Of what?
okay, so you think, okay, so for example, with the analogy you just gave, it is the
Mhm.
case that we're talking right now and not talking, correct?
Yes, intuitively, I don't agree with that though. I don't believe that.
So you think it is the case that we
No,
aren't
not it
talking right
is
now?
the case. I said it can be the case. However, intuitively, I don't believe that. I have mental attitude towards
Okay.
us talking, but that is not
Yeah.
the same thing as having JTB. Mental attitude that is actually true and justifiable.
Yeah. So I'm going to send something in VC scans for everyone. So the statement about what was said was there's two ways you could put what you said, but the way that you put it, or that like actually necessarily follows from what you said, is that God is contradictory.
Wait,
It could be
oh
the
my God, brother.
case. It could be the
Wait,
case that God can be contradictory, but you made the claim that God is a contradiction.
you're not understanding. These statements entail the same thing within the context of this debate. I just said that it's going to be modus ponens. If it is the case that he can be contradictory, then it's going to entail that he is contradictory. It's a conditional. If it is possibly the case that he's contradictory, then it is the case that he's contradictory by virtue of it being necessarily, or by virtue of it being possibly necessary.
Okay, so let me find the thing real quick. So this is just a rejection of the laws of logic by saying they aren't universal. It's also saying that the laws of logic don't apply to your God. So whenever you say God, you also mean not God. And whenever
Yup.
you say God exists, you also mean God doesn't exist.
Sure, the identity of this God is going to be that he is not God and he is God.
Okay, so it
So it's
is the
going to be a
case.
contradictory entity.
So it is the case that God. It is possibly the case. By possible, it just means that it necessarily follows. So it is possible that God
Whoa,
doesn't
whoa, whoa,
exist.
whoa, whoa, whoa. That is not what possibility means. And that's not the context I'm using it in. I'm just saying that it necessarily following is possible, which entails it in actuality necessarily following. That is not the same thing as me saying possibility entails necessary existence.
Well, possibly by possibility, I meant possibly necessary, which is just the
Okay.
thing
Okay.
you gave.
We could just pay PN. Just say PN.
All right, so let me just write some things down real quick.
Okay. Let me know if you have a difficult time understanding anything I've said so far. You gotta write it down. Dun, 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 dun. Hey, 556, hello test. I'm gonna take his place. All these niggas talking all that shit. Pull up on me, please.
Okay, so do you have anything else to say or something? I understand your argument.
Okay, sure, continue the argument.
Okay, so I'm just asking, like, because we can go to closings now. This isn't like a real debate. If you actually believe this is interesting. That you
Wait,
would
so
come
do you
to.
have a contention towards the argument that being it's possibly necessary, therefore it's necessary that God exists, that God having a consciousness, him being not identical with himself, and him being necessary and eternal?
I'm not accepting this. I'm just saying I understand your argument now.
I'm not saying you accept it. I'm saying do you have contentions or objections towards the argument?
I think that the argument is self-defeating
How is the argument
because
self-defeating?
the claim was that the only. I mean, I don't know if you're gonna
Do you
like
have an actual answer, or you're just
yeah.
gonna
I'm
make
just
a
I'm
claim?
just I'm just figuring out like if you're actually gonna accept this because like this just actually follows, right?
Go ahead.
So you made the claim that the thing that you know about God is that He is necessary, but then we got to that by necessary, this also entails that He necessarily exists, right? In all possible worlds, He
Is that
exists.
an actual question, a rhetorical question?
It could be both. It doesn't really matter. I'm pretty sure you're just gonna say
It,
yes
it
to
can
this anyway.
literally not be both. What the fuck?
I mean, according to your worldview, it can be both. You're a dialetheist, so can you answer the question?
Intuitively, I don't think that. But what was the question?
By necessary, you mean He exists necessarily?
Yeah.
Okay, so now we come to the thing where we came to
Necessarily,
now.
necessarily as a contradiction. To clarify, by the way.
Necessarily as a contradiction. So what do you mean by necessary? That doesn't make any
Necessary as
sense.
in he exists as a contradiction in all possible worlds. Quote unquote.
So He exists as a contradiction in all possible worlds.
Yep, just said that.
So it is the
Epistemical.
case. So it is the case that He doesn't exist. So is
He,
he?
he
So you're
does
saying you are saying
he
He's
doesn't and he
contradictory in
does.
all worlds?
Yes, in every
Why
single
is this
world
the
it's gonna
case
wait,
then?
yeah, I'll explain. Yeah, in every single world it's gonna be necessary that he does exist, but however, in every single world it's gonna be necessary that he doesn't exist.
So there are worlds in which He exists, and there are worlds in which He doesn't exist. You can make
That's
this
not what
claim.
I said. That's contingency. I'm not referring to contingency. I said that if it is the case that it's necessary that he exists, then he's going to exist in all possible worlds. However, if it's necessary that he doesn't exist, he cannot exist in any possible world. He does not exist in any possible world. Therefore, he exists necessarily as a contradiction because it's not the case that P is there and P is there. So,
And you only accept this because you believe in S5 modal logic.
yep, I believe in modal logic. Shit.
Well, this is like a specific type of modal logic that is like what you're saying. So anyway,
I believe
I
in it.
think the problem is that I don't know if this is actually like going to sit well with you if you actually believe this, right? But
Yes, I
by
do.
saying it is the case that God exists and doesn't exist at the same time, this is a contradiction. And you are just accepting this contradiction on the face value of S5 modal logic, but I don't see why you aren't just rejecting the S5 modal logic premise, which is if something is possibly necessary, then it is actually necessary. I don't know why you just wouldn't reject
Yeah, why
this
would I reject it?
contradiction. I
Good.
don't know. No, I'm asking you why. I'm asking you why you accept this. Like
Why
I
I
don't. I
said
don't
that.
see why
Yeah,
you
yeah,
wouldn't
because I
reject.
got you, I got you. Because under your under your worldview, there's not going to be any contradiction to something being necessary, possibly.
No, I'm asking
However,
you. I'm
once
asking you
again,
why you accept this.
because I don't agree with classical logic.
Yeah, but like you can be a dialetheist and think that S5 modal logic is ridiculous.
Yeah, you can disagree with the premise no matter what position you take, unless the position is going to be something that necessarily entails the premise. However, I'm saying that since classical logic is not something I uphold, I believe that since this thing does entail a contradiction, it wouldn't matter because it cannot be reduced to absurdity due to classical logic not being the upheld position. So I accept the position
Wait,
because
so
I.
it can't be reduced to Okay, so you
I
just
said, yeah,
said.
yes, it can be
Oh,
reduced.
it
Yeah,
can.
it
Okay.
can be. Yeah, I said it can't. It can't be reduced. I mean, reduced to absurdity if you don't believe in classical logic, unless you have another argument as to why it can be reduced to absurdity.
Yeah. So I mean, it seems to
Like,
me as the case that there are three claims that have been made. I'm not even going to even like necessarily contend with these. I was just curious upon your position. The first claim is God exists and doesn't exist. The
yes.
second claim is God is necessary and not necessary. And this third claim is God has consciousness and does not have
Well, you can
consciousness.
use him being necessary and not. No, wait. You can use him being necessary and not necessary as the same statement as him existing and not existing.
Um, sure. I was just saying that follows from the existing claim. So I mean,
Okay.
I'm not even going to contend with the claim that your God exists and doesn't exist at the same time.
Okay, we can do another topic then.
Yeah, just give me a sec while I have to. I mean, you can both stay unmuted now. So anyway, theoretical toxic. What
Yo,
were you saying?
finally, they let the king out. Wait, so do you think like the laws of logic are objective?
What do you mean by objective?
Their mind independently true, something like that.
I would say the laws of logic. You mean universal, correct?
I mean, if you accept their objective or mind independently true, then you're biconditionally accepting the fact that they are also universally applicable. Yes.
No, you would just okay. So let me just say that the laws of logic seemingly apply to all of the things that we have discovered.
What?
Right.
That's not
Seemingly.
what they say.
No, I'm telling you. I'm saying this could be said. Right. And then
Wait,
like,
okay. Okay.
It's fine,
yeah,
Infinity. Just go on mute.
yeah. So
Let the
logic
king do it.
applies to everything we have discovered. Correct.
Wait, wait. But when you say logic, that's a more of a broader statement because that could reference other logical systems.
The laws
We
of
just
logic apply
strictly
to
talk
the
about
classical logic.
classicality. Yeah, we just
Classical
strictly talk
logic
about
applies to
classicality.
everything we have discovered.
Oh, you think so?
No, I'm just saying this could be said. I'm giving you an example in which like it doesn't necessarily follow that because the laws of logic are objective, that they are universal truths.
Okay, so I don't think you understand the reason why I say that. Do you know that every single law of thought utilizes the universal quantifier, if you know what that is to begin with, right?
What'd you say?
Hello? I say all laws of thought utilize the universal quantifier, essentially.
Okay, yeah. And how does this follow? That because the laws of
If they
logic are objective.
utilize the universal quantifier, then they entail themselves to be universally applicable. So if we say the laws of logic are objective, then we're biconditionally accepting that they're universally applicable by necessity. It's a sound argument, essentially.
Okay, so by objective you just mean mind independent. And if I say that the laws of logic apply to everything that we
Mm.
have discovered, I wouldn't be saying they're universal.
I don't. Okay, so you're saying that the laws of logic are applicable to everything that we've discovered, but that's not what the laws of thought actually state. So
No, I'm saying
I
that the
don't know where
laws
you
of
got
logic, it doesn't actually follow that it would be universal. But I mean, this is like pretty irrelevant. Do you
that.
think
Okay,
that the
okay.
laws of
So
logic are
so you're saying
universally
it's
true?
not universal? You say what?
I don't believe we would have epistemic access to making the
Okay,
claim
yeah,
that it
yeah.
is universal. So you think they're
So you're saying
universal?
from what we've discovered, it is universally applicable?
It can seemingly be applied. Well, it's not universally applicable because I believe there
Yeah, I know
could be an
you said it's
instance in
not. Yeah.
which we discover something that completely goes against this understanding. Right? There could be something like this. But are you making the claim that they are universal?
No. I'm denying them be universally applicable, and I have an argument for that. So I'm trying to
So you
see
believe that
what
they
are your
aren't
thoughts
able
on
to
that.
be applied to all things in the world. I mean, all things
Yeah,
in the universe.
exactly.
Okay, so yeah,
Yeah,
we
and I
agree.
can verifiably like deduce that to be true. Since you're
Yeah, so
saying,
we agree.
I mean, you're only like agreeing to some extent by saying it's only because there could be something that contradicts it, but I think there is something that actually contradicts it.
Oh, so you think something right now that we know of logically, I mean, violates the laws of logic? What is this thing that you have access to?
It's quantum logic, but it depends on like the formulation of the law of identity.
Well, quantum logic is like the problem with like using quantum physics in terms of like what is the case with logic. I think is that quantum physics isn't even really too well understood in terms of like a consensus within quantum physicists, right?
I mean, the parts that I'm talking about are pretty basic and they're actually well understood. I can understand when you talk about things that pertain to like probability distribution. So yeah, I do understand in that case. You could say it's not well understood and things like the uncertainty principle.
I would say that the quantum logic thing isn't well understood enough in terms of like that this thing actually does violate the law of identity. But yeah, I'd like to see your
Oh,
argument.
yeah. So do you agree with like in the book of Aristotle of metaphysics that type of law of identity, or do you agree with the modern logic version of the law of identity, which they're posited kind of differently?
Uh, I would say I agree with the modern definition of the
You know
law of
what the
identity.
modern definition is, though, right?
Sort of. I'm pretty sure Aristotle is the same way that it's interpreted. But I'd like to
The
see what you think
Aris
the difference is.
the Aristotle one only accounts for perhaps maybe x being equal to x, but not x possibly being equal to y. and the modern logic version accounts for something like y, which is like a separate object being indistinguishable from another object, hence y being equal to a. So yes,
Yeah,
they are kind of distinct.
I don't see how that actually. I don't think that's the case, right? If there's an object that is indistinguishable from the other object in every way, then the law of identity is just going to say, like in terms of Aristotle and the modern understanding, is that they are the same thing. If there's nothing that distinguishes them, they are the same thing.
The problem is if you had to like put it in a theorem form, you're gonna have to like put A and B, and we don't already have like something that instantiates a difference between them.
No, you would just be using different. You would just be using different placeholders, right? So, like for example, if I say that the tree exists, and then 2 seconds later I say by tree, I also mean D. So I say D exists. So the distinction is just our language. It's not an actual distinction within the thing. It's just
Yeah,
our.
but the thing is, the tree in itself is just a tree. You just represented it differently. But I'm talking about concrete objects that are actually two different objects that are indistinguishable from each other. Not like a
I'd like to
tree
see
that
an
you just
example of
know
this. You're
for
just
a
gonna bring
different
up
thing.
like fundamental particles or
Elementary
something.
particle, of course, elementary
Yeah,
particles.
it's crazy, bro. I was thinking about this. Unironically, I was thinking about this like the other day. Uh,
Yeah, like how they're indistinguishable from each other. So
they are
more or
able to be
less, the
distinguished.
modern logic,
They weigh differently.
they weigh differently. Okay, you can give me
Different
like an
fundamental particles
example
weigh
of that.
differently.
I mean, yeah, it's different. Yeah, it's different types of like elementary particles. But if you have the same type, they don't weigh differently. They're
Oh,
indistinguishable
you're
from each
talking of the
other.
same type of fundamental particles.
Yeah,
Okay,
the same, solely the same type. I agree
so
when
let's
you
just
say like
take.
if it's different types, they'll weigh differently. Yes,
So let's just take one. Which one do you want to take, and we can like see if this entails the
we
violation of
can
law
go
of
with
identity.
like an electron, for example.
Okay, so electrons are electron neutrinos. Just electrons.
Hmm? You want me to give you another example?
No, I'm just asking. Like, okay, so I'm just going to assume you mean electrons. Okay, so electrons. We can know. Are you telling? Are you like making the claim that there are two electrons, but we know there are two? How can we know they are two if they are the same thing?
What did you say? Repeat what you said.
I'm asking you. I mean, you could just explain this yourself. How does an electron violate the law of identity?
So, I mean, I don't think it violates the law of identity. It only violates like the first formulation of the law of identity from Aristotle's book of metaphysics, which like the law of identity has been readjusted, and like the Aristotle version is more or less just like accounting for a reflexive relation, while like the modern logic version accounts for only the reflexive, not only that, but the symmetric relation and the transitive relation. So you can have like three objects that are indistinguishable from each other, but it won't contradict the law of identity, essentially.
Okay, so you think that it's not a violation of the law of identity in modern sense if I have
Yeah, in a
three things
modern
that are
sense, yeah.
indif. I mean, I think it would be right because if you have three things that we can distinguish from, but fundamentally there's nothing distinguishable to actually distinguish, then what are we doing then? Are you just
No, the
simply
problem
saying
is
that we're
the
describing them
yeah, you can
differently?
hear. No, the problem is like when you account for like the law of identity or an identity relation, you only speak about the properties that are solely intrinsic to the specific object in question. So you're not going to speak, for example, like a relation of spatial coordinates or a distinction between spatial coordinates.
Okay, sure. So you don't actually think the modern law of identity is violated.
Yeah, I think it's perfectly fine. Yeah.
So do you think the modern understanding is universal?
Nah, I'm not prepared to make that statement,
Okay, then
considering how weird that the universe is, to say the least.
I would just say I agree with you, Ryan, because like I always have thought since the beginning of philosophy, Ryan, that there are people that make claims, but their claims aren't actually backed up by their understanding of the universe yet. They've just thought about these things, right? So when Aristotle
Yeah,
was
it's
thinking
more
about
of
the law
like
of
a
identity, he didn't have
limited
the
mind.
backing, right? Like he didn't
Yeah.
actually know that what he's saying could be false because he didn't have scientific backing it. So I mean, we agree here.
Yeah, sure, that's fine. Yeah, we agree.
All right. So do you hold
So
any
are
other
you done
position?
with Infinity?
Do you think we can achieve?
Yeah, a couple of others, but you can talk to Infinity, sure.
What's up?
Yeah. Do you think we can achieve knowledge?
By knowledge, do you just mean JTB?
Sure.
I'm skeptical to whether or not JTB is actually like sufficient for making claims about what you know.
Hold on. So your belief is that okay? So you're skeptic towards whether or not we can achieve knowledge when the criteria for knowledge is JTB.
Yes.
Okay. So would you accept in this quote unquote discussion that the criteria for knowledge would be JTB?
Could accept that, sure, just for the sake of discussion.
I sure. So do you believe that the statement we can achieve knowledge is possibly false?
I think it's logically possible, if that's what you're asking.
So do we not have knowledge on it being logically possible?
I mean, we would have knowledge in terms of justified true belief. Well, in terms of like, oh, I see what you're asking. You're asking me how do if I'm skeptical about knowledge, then how do I know that it is the case that we could be logically possibly correct about it?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so under that, yeah, I went into the discussion. Yeah, it was just a went into the discussion the wrong way, right? I was using knowledge in terms of what I mean, but like in terms of like
Okay, what do you mean?
laws of logic. Yeah, so by knowledge, I just mean that there's some cognitive awareness about this thing, and you have some reason to believe in this thing, and that reason can be held up under scrutiny.
What do you mean by
Um,
cognitive awareness?
that you are, what do I mean by cognitive awareness? I don't know how I would describe this to you. It's just something that you're cognitively aware that you're speaking to me right now. It's similar to that.
Are you talking about okay? Are you talking about consciousness speaking, like consciously speaking?
Consciously speaking, yes, you're aware of it.
Okay, so what part are you skeptical towards? Do you believe we can have reason for something?
I believe we can have you can have reasons for anything. I'm just saying that I'm skeptical to whether or not justified true belief actually entails
Wait,
knowledge.
no, I'm not talking about that. I'm saying with your definition of knowledge, you believe that we cannot, or you're skeptical towards whether or not we can achieve knowledge, specifically with your definition of it. I'm saying your definition is cognitive awareness with justification. So I'm asking you, are you skeptical towards us being able to have cognitive awareness, or you're skeptical towards us being able to have justification?
Cognitive. There's two things. The problem is that I don't think justification and reason are synonymous. That can just be interchangeably in my worldview. But the thing that
Okay,
I'm
what do you,
skeptic of is number one, how would you know what you're claiming is true, right? So if I claim that
uh-huh.
there is something in front of me, what justification am I going to use for the truth aspect, right?
Okay, wait. Okay,
Uh,
that you're conflating that. Okay, so one within your definition, there's nothing that says truth at all. Cognitive awareness
yeah, we're
does not
talking about
actually.
why I'm.
Wait, hold on. Your cognitive awareness doesn't need to actually have correspondence. You could be cognitively aware of, for example, a
Yeah, I'm
delusion.
talking about the JTB, not my definition.
Wait, yeah, but you're skeptical towards knowledge with your definition. I'm talking about your definition.
With my definition, I'm not skeptical. I think you could know things under this definition.
Okay, so under JTB, so what was your objection towards the possibility argument?
Like if JTB is the only way to know anything, I don't think it would be able to satisfy that you have a justified true belief in logical possibility, right?
Give me a second.
I
I'm
don't see
outside.
how that would be the case.
Hold on, give me a second. I'm outside. Yeah, what'd you say?
Yeah, I think in terms of JTB, I don't think someone would be able to know what is logically possible. In terms of like what logic actually is, I don't think they would have a justification for this thing.
You said they don't have justification for it?
Yeah, I don't think they would be able to justify this.
Okay, let's go through step by step. Do you agree that they have mental attitude towards it?
Sure.
Okay, do you agree that it's true within reality?
What's true? The laws of logic?
Yes.
Not in this sense. They would be like a universal here.
But it doesn't matter if it's universal or if it's limited to a specific. Do you agree that, for example, the statement that a mammal's is a mammal's identical with itself?
Sure.
Okay, so you agree it's true and that the person has mental attitude towards it. So you don't agree that they can have justification. That's only what you don't agree with currently.
Yeah, I would say I don't think they would be able to justify this.
Yeah, isn't their justification going to be their prior observation? So even if they're in a delusion or something, they would say by virtue of what they priorly observed, it can be the case that something is identical with itself.
Yeah, but like I mean, okay, so for JTB, do you hold to the JTB? I'm assuming yeah.
Yeah, we can
Yes,
go.
no. I mean, yes, I do hold to JTB, but I'm saying that even if you exist in a delusion, if you accept both truth and that they have mental attitude towards that truth, then the justification can be anything. It doesn't need to be quote unquote actual adequate justification or anything like that. Anything can be justification.
So
Like for
does your
example,
justification does your justification have to be true in terms of JTB?
no, the justification doesn't need to be true, and under most systems, justification doesn't need to be true. It's just a reason as to why you accept something. Hold on,
Okay,
there's a
so
lot of
I
cars.
think
Give me a second. There's a lot of cars. Hold on.
Yeah,
So
Infinity.
Infinity, by the way, Monkey Boy's talking crazy. I'm gonna beat the shit out of him. Hold on.
No,
All right,
talk
go ahead, Israel. My bad.
yeah. So I think the common understanding of justification is that it has to be the case that your justification actually shows what it's meant out to do. I think that's why Gettier cases exist, and that's why it was formulated by him, right? Because if it is the case that your justification isn't necessarily true, then this means I could know things without having any justification in terms of like the justification
Wait,
actually
I
being
think
true.
that I think the Gettier case is proposed. I think what the idea that the Gettier case is proposed is something irrelevant. I think is a non sequitur. I don't believe that the Gettier case is actually dismiss JTB at all because once again, under most systems and worldviews, you can conceptually understand justification, and a conceptual understanding doesn't need to be true. Once again, so for example, I could say that cat equal dog, therefore God exists. That can be a form of justification. It just doesn't need to be adequate. So the same as I could say by virtue of my prior observations, I everything is identical with itself. Therefore, I have justification for the mental attitude towards everything being identical with itself, and the statement so happens to be true. Therefore, I have JTB.
Yeah, but like the problem that I'm finding with the JTB thing is like you're you could say you know something without actually having any justification at all. You could just do whatever you want, right? So like
Well,
for
you can't say
example,
that under my worldview, though. You can't say that because if you don't have justification, then you do not know it because there's no J there. It's just true. It's just true belief. A true belief is not JTB.
yeah, but the point is that justification doesn't have to be true, meaning if it is the case that okay, so let's just say let me think of an example of something that would be the case, right? So
Wait,
let's
your
say
example, no matter what your example is, if there's no justification there, it's just not going to be knowledge. You're just presupposing that JTB is not the criteria for knowledge. If something is true and I have mental attitude towards it being true, and then I have justification, then that is going to be JTB. If I don't have justification, then me making a claim I have knowledge on it, that's just false. That claim is just false.
okay, so the claim is false. So the
Yes.
justification, I'm just clarifying, justification for your JTB doesn't have to be true.
No, it's just a reason as to why we should accept something. That reason doesn't have to be adequate.
Okay, so how would you come to the conclusion that what you're claiming, like let's just say this, I know the laws of logic apply to some things.
Yeah.
The justification would be your observation. How would you know this thing
Oh
is
wait,
true?
no. Wait, my bad. Well, how do I know what is true?
In this scenario, how would you know the laws of logic are true? You
I
have
believe it's in.
justification
I believe it's intuitively true.
into it, and you
Yeah, I
believe
believe. I
intuition
believe
can
it's
bring
in.
us to
I
truth.
believe. I believe it's in. No, I don't. I believe it's intuitively justified. I don't agree with intuitive justification. However, within this system or this discussion, once again, I'm saying justification doesn't need to be adequate or true for it to be or be inclusive of JTB.
Okay, so your
As long as you have
definition.
a reason, it's specifically talking about you. Do you have JTB? The
So
answer is
what
going
would
to
the
be yes.
reason? What would the reason be? Okay, so let me just like type this out.
Yeah, go. Like, let me just clarify this. As long as you have a reason to believe in something and it's actually true, that's going to fit the criteria for knowledge. That's all you need. That's why I don't think Gettier cases are actual objections towards the criteria for knowledge.
Well, they showcase that like the problem, the thing. I think you I'm pretty sure the consensus in terms of people who accept JTB is that the justification has to be like true. It can't
I
just be
actually don't.
any
I
reason.
don't think that's the consensus at all, actually.
Uh, I'm
But
pretty
I
sure
guess we
that
just
is.
disagree.
That's why. I mean, give me a sec.
I mean, we can ask people in VC, but
I'm talking
Yeah,
about
I
like the consensus
disagree. I
among
disagree
philosophers.
with that. Brian.
yeah,
I
I don't think
disagree with
that. I
that.
don't think most philosophers think that. But I guess that's just going to be us agreeing to disagree. But so bitch ass up, shit.
Infinity, I spoke 5 seconds ago. You're living in the past. Did I say now we're only going to get to the
And by the way,
flow?
there's a reason. Yeah, there's a distinction between actually believing your reason and then asserting a random reason that you don't believe in, because that wouldn't truly be the reason as to why you accept the conclusion. So if I say God exists because my eggs are fried, like for example, Plutus said, If I don't actually believe in that reason, then by definition, it's not going to be a reason as to why I should accept a conclusion because we're talking about you personally. Your reason is going to be why you specifically accept the conclusion. So if you don't accept the conclusion in actuality due to, for example, eggs being fried, that would be an actual reasoning or actual reason under your conceptual understanding. Not an actual reason as to why you could accept God is because you believe the universe cannot come from nothing. If you truly believe that, then that's going to be a reason as to why you accept God. God is true, and you have mental attitude towards it. Therefore, JTB is there.
Yeah, exactly, Infinity. I agree with you completely.
Of the chest.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I just typed it in VSki Sans what it seems like you actually mean by when you say I know the laws of logic are universal.
Niggers
What
need
you
to die. They
actually
need to
mean,
die.
I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
yeah, so when you say I know the laws of logic are universal, what you actually mean is that I observe my observations are true and I believe them.
No, within the example that you gave, you agreed that we both have mental attitude towards it being true, and in actuality, it is true. The only thing I need to justify is that we have reason. Now, once again, a reason is that is why we accept something. So, if I have an actual reason, hear that I'm making that distinction, an actual reason, that means I have JTB.
Well, what do you mean by actual? That you just believe in it?
I truly believe in the reason is going to be something adequate. Like, and not inadequate in actuality, but the reason is adequate to me. If I say that God exists due to eggs and fries, since a reason that's okay, since a reason, or I mean, since justification is a reason as to why we should accept something, if you don't truly accept the conclusion due to that reason, then it wouldn't be an adequate reason under your specific perspective. So if I believe that God exists and my reason is that the universe was created, therefore it has to be God or something along those lines, if I truly believe in that reason, then that would be something I use as a means to accept the conclusion, therefore be an actual reason. That's not the same thing as me asserting that God exists due to eggs and fries and me not actually believing that.
Okay, so let's just do this, right? I just want to see this example, right? So let's say, right, someone, because under this, the truthhood, knowing that something is true under JTB just means that you've observed it to be the case.
No. Observation as an empirical validation was just an example.
Okay, so for the laws of logic,
Yeah, it
you
was.
know that they are true due to your observations.
Yes.
Okay, so when you say I
Yeah.
know the laws of logic are true, all you're saying is that I've observed the laws of logic to be the case so far.
Wait, no. In the example that we're talking about, all laws of logic means is a specific thing that is identical with itself, and you agreed it was identical with itself. I don't mean the actual laws of logic within this example, because I don't agree with laws of logic. I'm not going to lie. I don't agree with that at all.
Okay, so under this example, it's just that something is identical to itself.
Yeah, it's just something within reality. Like, for example, Shinra is identical with Shinra. I'm not saying it's universally the case.
No.
Just don't see how this would be. So the justification doesn't have to be true. It just has
No,
to be
all you
something
have
that
to
you
do, the
believe.
only criteria for it actually being justification is that you believe in a justification. As long as you believe that that justification or reason actually entails your conclusion, that's all you need.
And the way you would know something is true is because of your justification, and your justification is simply going to be something that you believe to be the case.
So JTB, once again, if it so happens to be true, you have a belief towards it, and you have justification. If those two things are fulfilled, as in it is true, and you have that belief, then the only criteria left is justification. If my justification is that the universe cannot be created from nothing, therefore God exists, I believe in that. That's going to be fulfilling the criteria. Yes.
I debate to differ.
Oh, I'm retarded.
Yeah, so like,
Time.
yeah, so true means if it happens to be true in terms of JTB.
Wait, no.
Justification.
True means it has correspondence with reality.
And how would you? Okay, so we could just do that then. How would you know that it is the case? And by reality, you mean what exactly then?
Reality is what there is. So
Okay,
whatever
so we could
exists in
just
the
do
domain
this,
of
right?
discourse is going to be within reality.
Okay, so there's going to be like degrees to the way you know the laws of logic are universal in this instance. So you're going to, number one, make the claim that you know this. You're going to make the claim that you know this because of your observations, correct?
My bad. Answer your question again.
Yeah, so I know the laws of logic are universal because I know because of my observations.
No, not
Now,
universal. I know that the laws of logic, that being that something is identical with itself, is true by virtue of my prior observations.
Yeah, the laws of logic aren't actually gonna work here. We need
No,
another
I agree. I agree. In
proposition.
actuality, that they're universal, but I'm saying within this example, I want to limit it to a specific.
Okay, so we could just do this.
Okay.
External world outside of someone's mind. Do you think someone would be able to know that?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so let's just take that proposition then. I
Do you
know
believe? Wait, do you believe it's intuitively possible? Believe. Not
intuitively
know, not
possible.
know. Yeah, believe. Not know, but believe.
Yeah, I agree that you could believe that there's an external world.
Yeah, okay. If you believe that there's an external world and it so happens to be true, you have justification for it, and you truly believe it, then it's going to be JTB.
So there's no actual way for us to analyze the truthhood of something in this
No, we
case.
do.
Just
Our analyzation is going to be our reason. If you don't believe, if like for example, I have my own analyzation, that's going to be my reason. You don't have to agree with it, but I believe that truly is a reason.
that's the reason why the belief is true. That's not the reason why the thing in its. No, I mean that's a reason to believe in the thing. That's not a reason as to why the thing is true in itself, right?
Yeah,
Because
but the problem is, I'm
the
going to
truthhood of
believe.
the proposition is going to be irregardless of what you think.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. But I'm saying that if you have a reason that you truly believe in, then you're going to believe that thing is true. And if it so happens to be true, then that's going to meet the criteria for JTB. If it so happens to not be true, then you don't have JTB. You don't know X thing. That's
How would
fine.
you know? How would you know your claim is true then? Because of your reason?
Yeah, yeah, it's going to be in perspective of me. I believe that my claim is true due to my reason. It doesn't have to in actuality be true for me to believe it's true.
So you could hold JTB if the position. Okay, so let's just take this for example. Let us say that there is actually no external world, but you have a justification and you believe this thing. Is it the case that you would know this thing? Because seemingly, like the truthhood of it being correspondence to reality isn't actually that like held up here. Because there's no way, seemingly, that you've given in which someone would be able to understand that their observations have any correspondence to reality.
By the way, if you're talking, I cannot hear a single thing you're saying. This cars. My bad. What was the question you asked?
What'd you say?
I said if you were talking, I couldn't hear a single thing you said because I'm outside with a lot of cars. So what was the thing you said?
Oh, so I said under this thing, which is the truth being correspondence to reality, there's no way for us to actually like analyze this. Like, how would you know? I
But
mean,
that's not true.
you're just going to say your reason, but
Yeah, my analyzation.
how would you know that your reason corresponds to reality?
Because I'm going to have a reason for my reason being true. The premise is going to have a premise, obviously. For
But it's going
example,
to
if
be
you
your
say that,
observation.
hold on. For example, if you say that, well, God exists, and then that's going to be your position or conclusion. You have a reason, which is that the universe cannot have been created by itself, and then your reason for why the universe cannot be created by itself is because, for example, that can be logical or something like that. So the premise is going to have a premise that has a premise, etc.
Yeah. So, for example, the claim I know something exists. I know something outside of my mind exists due to my observations. So, in order to have JTB, your observations would have to correspond to reality, correct?
Oh shit. No, your observation doesn't have to have correspondence with reality. That's just your own perspective reason.
So then, how would you know that you're? How would you come to the conclusion that what you believe in is true?
Wait, no,
if
no,
your
no, 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 no.
observations don't have to be true.
What? No. Coming to the conclusion that what you believe in is true is distinct from coming to the conclusion that your reason is true.
No, we're asking the. Okay, so yeah, the reason. No, the point is that we're simply asking how would you come to the conclusion that your justified belief is true, and you're saying because of your justification.
Yes. If it
But
so
your
happens to be,
justification doesn't have to be true.
no, it doesn't have to be true in actuality. As long as you believe it's true, then it's going to be classified as justification.
Okay, so I'm gonna write that down. So,
Like for example, hold on. What are your one of your positions? You don't believe God exists, right? You're atheist.
depends on your definition of God. Your definition of God, I
Okay, let's say
sure,
an
I would believe in that.
omnipotent, omnibenevolent, an omniscient being.
Yeah, I wouldn't believe in that.
Okay, now do you have justification for not believing that?
Yes,
What is that justification?
that the omni properties are incoherent.
Do you truly believe in his justification?
Yes,
Do you believe that it entails the conclusion that God doesn't exist?
yes,
Does it need to be true for you to actually believe that it's true? So, like under your worldview, you believe it's true, as in it has correspondence to reality. You believe it, right?
I believe it, but that doesn't mean it necessarily does.
No, I agree. But you believe under your worldview that it does have correspondence, correct?
Yes.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, but I wouldn't be able
that
to.
you'll
The
have to
problem that I'm
true.
having is that I wouldn't be able to. There's no way to rationally come to the conclusion that your observations correspond to reality. Um,
Yeah,
I mean, you
yes, there
could say,
is.
okay,
But
how would we do that?
by rationally, you're talking about perspective thing. I don't care about that. I'm saying that you can have a reason as to why you believe your reason is going to be something that's adequate in comparison to drawing the conclusion.
Okay, so justification shows that something is true, but your justification doesn't actually have to be true. Yeah, I'm still having the problem seeing how you would actually be able to come to the understanding that there's any correspondence to reality within your reason. Because you just said the reason is the way that it shows that it corresponds to reality, but the reason doesn't even have to actually be true, right?
Oh shit! Fuck.
But
My bad.
yeah,
Like I'm actually trying to convince you. Okay, look. So, bro, do you agree that there can be multiple reasons and until a conclusion?
I understand. I understand the reason part. I agree with the reason.
Okay.
The justification. I don't think that justification means reason, but I see where you're coming from. The problem that I have is that when it comes to the truthhood of this thing, that it corresponds to reality,
Wait. Let's just
you
stop
wouldn't
step.
be
Let's
able to
stop
know
step.
that.
What does justification mean? Denotatively.
In my worldview,
Do you agree with Oxford?
do I agree with Oxford? I have to see what Oxford says. I don't think Oxford. I mean, we could just check real quick.
I go. Oh fuck.
Yeah, so justification is a good reason why something exists. There's also
Yeah, how
other
do we determine whether
definitions.
or not something is good?
I mean, I'd have to check what they mean. I'm just looking at their definition.
Okay.
The problem with dictionaries is they're not going to give like this whole explanation as to what it means for something to be good, because when you go to their definition of good, it's going to have a bunch of other things, and it doesn't actually specifically say the type of good.
Yeah, I agree. I
Uh,
agree with that. Yep. Oh shit.
yeah, so let's just say this.
So, what's your definition?
Um, my definition of justification is going to be something that, well, in terms of JTB, I'm going to define justification as something that is necessarily the case, um, or it is
Okay.
true.
Yeah, we definitely disagree with the fuck.
Like your justification for something can't just be false, right? Like,
I mean, I just disagree with that. I ain't gonna lie, but I guess we just I think this isn't going to go anywhere then. If that's your definition.
yeah, we fundamentally agree because you think that JTB. I mean, this solves the
Wait,
problem
yeah.
with
Do
many of
you
your
agree under
cases.
my definition at least?
I agree under your definition that JTB seemingly works. I think you
Okay.
think that, but I'd have to see more upon like how you would be able to come to the conclusion that your reason corresponds anywhere to reality.
Wait,
It would just be your observation.
do you think that if I say my premise is going to justify another premise, that entails an infinite regress? A regress?
I mean, it depends. Does that happen continuously forever?
Yeah, if you keep on questioning why the premise is going to have correspondence, and then I give a reason as to why I believe that, if you, it's going to seemingly entail some type of infinite regress. Obviously, not actual infinite regress since you don't have.
Seemingly, but I don't think it is. I don't think it is here. I don't think the whole like infinite regress of premises thing. I don't think that actually works because eventually you're just going to bottom out. You can make you can make the claim that there's a reason that you don't know yet or something. But like the problem here is I know something outside of my mind exists due to my observations, right? And then I'm
I
going
don't
to
think you can
ask you.
bottom out. 'Cause I can say that I intuitively believe that intuition is going to be an actual intuitive justification for something.
No one cares. The
Um,
justification part is
sorry,
already
sorry
shown to
to
be
cut
the.
you off.
Wait, no,
Like, can I say
wait. I'm saying that the reason is going to be the premise, and I use justification synonymously with premise. I'm saying under my
something to
worldview.
tell you?
Wait, Tassi, hold on. I'm saying under my worldview. Do you think if you continuously question the premise as in how it has correspondence with reality, then it's going to go into some type of infinite regress or seemingly an infinite regress? If I use premises to justify my premise, like if you keep on continuously questioning it.
Seemingly, I mean, you could say seemingly, but I think that you're just necessarily going to bottom out.
Group message.
But yeah, Tassi, what are you saying?
Yeah, should I invite you to the GC with Monkey Boy?
Yeah.
Alright, gang, let's spin the block.
All right, good discussion,
Alright,
Ezra.
bro.
Are you going
All right,
first?
nice.
What'd you say, Tassi?
Are you going first?
No, I'm cleaning right now.
I let the king go first.